Why hello there! Welcome to Wondering in the Wardrobe, where I, T, talk about random topics and discussions. Yes, it's a working title, but like life, I've had very little time to figure it out. Speaking of little time, the apocalypse, a topic that has very little to do with living at all, no? A topic that has plagued humanity throughout the century, from the Norse prophetic apocalypses of Ragnarok to the haunting omens of the Book of Revelation to the artistic revelations of Plants vs. Zombies. The way the world ends has been hysterically hypothesized. We all fear mortality. And what's worse than one person dying than everyone dying? But the truth is, we've all been dying inside. That's what we've been doing. But that doesn't discredit the fact that apocalypses have become excessively popular since the last turn of the century. Just like my reoccurring Armageddon nightmares, the apocalypse in narratives have been popping up everywhere. Everyone knows at least one piece of media that deals with the end of the world, and if not the end of the universe, which I will not talk about because it's not in the script. You might be wondering, how can these creators create so many apocalypses? Is it really that easy? Well, I'm here to tell you, maybe, with these 5 easy steps on making an apocalypse. Now T, you're inquiring, are you really qualified to explain how to effectively create a dying world while at the same time scaring your audience into learning a moral? And to that, as a music major who has limited knowledge in writing and organization skills, as well as refusing to make my bed unless absolutely necessary, I say, yes. So let's jump right in, shall we? Step 1. I'm not doing that again. Step 1. Figure out a moral. You need to figure out what purpose of your Armageddon will be. What do you desperately want to tell your audience that could be betrayed through an Armageddon? Some apocalypse is used to show how humanity can actually work together to survive, and maybe even save the planet. In other cases, it's the exact opposite. End of the world stories could also be used as a cautionary tale of what humanity should not or should be doing. You've ever heard of the phrase, "it's not the end of the world"? Well, that's usually used to downplay a problem. It's not a big deal. When the world is ending, there might be a problem. The easiest thing to do here is pick a moral that deals with humanity's wrongdoings, because we all know that man is the real monster. Step 2. Choose your apocalypse. Next, you need to figure out what type of apocalypse you want. From what I have gathered, here are a few end-of-the-world scenarios. Zombie, natural disasters, pandemic, supernatural, which includes aliens, Cthulhu-like monsters and such, technological development rampages, nuclear apocalypses, and divine apocalypses. I didn't know what to put. Now this step ties in a bit with the previous step. Certain morals are expressed through different apocalypses. For example, nuclear Armageddon usually scares the shit out of people so that they wouldn't nuke the place. Ray Bradbury's short story, There Will Come Soft Rains, is a charming instance of this, where he uses very peaceful language talking about a smart house's routine even after the family is long gone. The entire west face of the house was black, save for 5 places. Here the silhouette in paint of a man mowing a lawn. Here is in a photograph a woman bent to pick flowers. Still farther over, their image is burnt on wood in one titanic instant. A small boy, hands flung into the air. Higher up, the image of a thrown ball. And opposite of him a girl, hands raised to catch a ball, which never came down. How delightful. The types of morals you would want to portray usually limit the types of apocalypses you would want to use. For technological apocalypses, some morals teach and shame humanity for not being more responsible for their sciences. Supernatural can show how badass humans can be together. Zombies show how ass humans can be together. Pandemic natural disasters usually push the moral of how humans aren't treating the world properly, and should before we are detoxed like a dietary cleanse, so please, for the love of God, save our planet. And for the love of God is that of the divine apocalypse. The only moral that ties kind of in with all the other apocalypses is that of humanity's hubris. And for those who don't know, hubris is over self-confidence or pride in oneself. So basically when you're sure you can make that 8 a.m. class, don't. Step 3. Tropes. Tropes are very important in distinguishing narratives, lessons, and tones. To figure out tropes and conventions common to the apocalyptic genre, you can read apocalyptic texts such as the Book of Daniel, maybe even reviewing apocalypse within media, such as video games like Fallout, or the mind-numbing amount of zombie video games and TV shows. Or you realize the amount of time you have left for this project, kick yourself, and look up apocalyptic tropes on Google. Again, some tropes will have to line up with the lesson you're trying to teach, as well as the type of apocalypse you're trying to portray. Tropes of the zombie apocalypse may include the first bite outbreak of some zombie plague caused by, honestly, whatever you want. A band of sullen and pensive people forced to survive together or reluctantly surviving together, because why not? There should be more conflict in the zombie apocalypse, right? I mean, come on. We're all gonna die. It doesn't really matter anyway. In some instance, there's a father-daughter or parent relationship that's endearing and causes us to feel emotions. I'll put that down here. For a technological apocalypse, there's usually some rampant AI that has been horribly mistreated and decides to take over the world. Maybe even a chosen Keanu Reeves their way out of the situation, saving all of humanity. For a divine apocalypse, you would need maybe some divine intervention. I'll put that there. The toil between good and evil. Maybe a dream prophecy with some really funky symbolism in it. Some other divine tropes include judgment, the condemnation of those who have done wrong, as well as a weird and unsettling pettiness towards them. Step 3A, add the Doomsday Sayer. It is required to add that guy the end is nigh within any narrative about the end of the world. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. Bonus points for making him a main character.
Wow! Oh, I need to record the audio.
Step 4, develop your own style.
Heck yeah.
Look, there are over 90 modern television stories dealing with the apocalypse, and I'm willing to bet 10 times more narratives. So with that in mind, we need to liven this shit up. So with this in mind, you need to figure out a way to make your apocalypse stand out, make it pop, or you run the risk of writing another boring, old, and repetitive narrative. Like a show about zombies. None of this is set in stone. This is your narrative. Get creative. Put it in a funky voice or tone. Switch the cliches around. Don't have any cliches at all. Have a big twist at the end. Maybe make a happy apocalypse? Subvert expectations and don't write a zombie apocalypse. Make the world come back. I don't know. I'm not a magician. Maybe I don't know. You could also get inspired. Look at some other narrative. Maybe that video game that you played earlier, or that book you read, or those reoccurring nightmares of Armageddon, meteors falling, cracks opening in the earth, and giant black holes opening in a village, sucking everything you love within it. So remember to make it threatening and terrifying for your audience. Step 5, execute. Now that you have all of this information and you hopefully written it down because you are an organized writer and you didn't put this off to the last minute, you can finally start drafting and finalizing your project. Find your medium, make it into a script for a TV show or movie, maybe a storyboard for a video game or animation. I don't know, a screenplay for a musical might be nice. I've never really seen a musical about the apocalypse. There should be a musical about the apocalypse, don't you think? I'm gonna write a musical about the apocalypse. Nope, didn't work. Now that you're finished, you can finally step back and admire your work. And congratulations, you've now realized you've made another mind-numbingly depressing and stupid zombie apocalypse narrative. Another whack to the dead horse that has been trying to eat our brains for the past century. You deserve to start over if you do this. And there you have it. 5 easy steps on creating an apocalyptic narrative. I want to remind everyone that you obviously don't have to follow these steps. The beauty of creativity is to share your ideas and to tell a story. It's also very important in this day and age to give awareness to real-life situations like climate change, the corruption of power, and honestly humanity's hubris, and, well, the apocalypse. It's effective enough to scare people. Especially if it's told effectively and engagingly. So go out there, have fun, and stop making zombie apocalypses!